We got a story going up today about how Eric Westmoreland turned his ankle and he goes to the game on crutches, the 98 Tennessee Florida game. My good gracious. And I've got another one as well. But did you really think Westmoreland, Eric was going to play in that game as he's going up to game time still on crutches? That's phenomenal.
We didn't think he was gonna play at all. But he was doing overnight in the training room. He actually slept in the training room. They were doing hot and cold contrast, massages, those type of things, ice cups, trying to get him ready for the game. And we did need him for that game. And it was the biggest game we had played in our careers. And that was something that, coming in that weight room or coming in the training room that morning, every morning for 3 days, sitting at Westmoreland in that training room sleeping. And his foot is in the, ice tub or it's in the hot tub or they're doing work on him. And it's like, man, I hope he gets ready to play, but I don't think he's going to make it. To see him be able to come out and play in that game was amazing because we didn't think he would.
The other one I want to share, and then Caleb, you can riff on with some Florida memories, is that, and this is on our YouTube series, the Celebrate 98 YouTube series brought to you by Tennessee Cider Company. And the other one that I found very, very entertaining, and Fred didn't even know that this happened during the game. At one point, Dwayne Goodrich liked to talk trash to the other offensive coordinator. Now, Fred, this is before the internet, would find out the girlfriends and the mom's names and all that stuff and use them during the game. But Dwayne Goodrich's, his trash talking MO was that he would talk trash to the other offensive coordinator and say, throw it my way, I dare you. And it may have actually affected the Arkansas game, he said. But in the Florida game, who's the offensive coordinator? It was Steve Spurrier. He was talking trash to Steve Spurrier, and he said he actually got benched for a bit during the 98 game because of talking trash to Steve Spurrier. That is gold.
Yes, and I remember it because he got a touchdown pass thrown over his head. He bit on an out route, and it was out and up. And Deion caught a cramp coming across the field, and it didn't, he couldn't get to the ball. So Travis McGills catches the ball down the sideline, and it's touchdown. And yeah, he did get benched for a second. I went back and watched that game too. I had to after having that interview. And that was insane. But I will say this. He could do those things too because we had a guy by the name of Deion Grant that was roaming us, from sideline to sideline back there. He could be very aggressive. Just so happened Deion catches a cramp on that play. On that one play. If he does not catch a cramp, Travis McGriff does not have a touchdown. That's an interception.
You're right. Hey, can I share one, Caleb, before you get going from the message board, if you don't mind? Because Al Wilson was so great. That sometimes we maybe forget one performance here and there, but the Florida game, Al Wilson's performance in the 98 UF game was the best I've ever seen. I agree with that, Bob, a Tennessee defensive player. 12 tackles and 3 forced fumbles. Jesse Palmer, Doug Johnson still have nightmares about Al. I mean, without Al, Fred, I don't want to insult anybody. That's a Florida win and maybe a little one-sided.
Yeah, he made a lot of things happen in that game. And, one of my favorite plays is he blitzed up the middle, hit the quarterback, and I got a chance to knock the ball out. Now, of course, he knocked the ball out first, and then the ball kind of popped out after I hit the guy. But I remember having that getting on that fumble, and that was a big play for us. And I that's my favorite game that I've ever played in.
Wow.
That Florida game in 1998 is the best game and most favorite game I've ever played in. It tops every game I've ever played in my entire life because it was that fun to play in. We were very aggressive, and we brought it. If you go back and you look at that game, defensively, we really got after their butt. We had a lot of turnovers, 6 turnovers in that game, but it still took us to overtime to win it. And that tells you a lot about how our defense was. I mean, those guys went out and they played their butts off, and a Deion Grant interception, a Al Wilson fumble force, Raynaud Thompson picking up a fumble. Mickey Allen causing a fumble. Those things changed the game, and it showed everyone that, man, you come to Knoxville, you play in Neyland Stadium, you're going to have to reckon with our fan base, the loud crowd, and our defense. And I think one of the things that this team has for it has a good group of defensive guys. They can get after the quarterback. We lead the country in sacks, and we're number 2 in tackles for loss. These guys get after it, and I'm excited to see what they can do.
Caleb, my big memory from that game was getting a big sweaty hug from Steve Johnson, a fellow broadcasting major, and after the game. And I mean, he was. I've never done heroin, but you can't get as high as he was at that moment. You talk about just being high on life. He just gave me the biggest, sweatiest hug, and I was so happy for him on a personal level. So that was on the field right after the game. Go ahead, Caleb. Sorry.
All right. So before, I like to be a little bit of a troll. So before I get into my troll, putting Fred on the spot, I just want to add one troll. Dave mentioned the hypothetical score Friday or Saturday to be 62-6. Dan Marino lost his last game in Florida, a playoff game to Jacksonville. It was 62-7. And that was Jimmy Johnson's last game ever coached. Sorry, I just like trolling NFL players. So, but Fred, I'm gonna put you on the spot because you're very honest, but you're also diplomatic with teammates you love and with coaches you like because you're just a good guy. You're just a really good guy. You had to be frustrated. Let's go to that 99 Florida game for a minute. You had to be frustrated with the fact that y'all's defense gave your offense every chance to win that game, and they let y'all down.
It's a team game. It's a team game. It just means it was something that we could have done more as a defense to get the job done. I'm gonna look at my offense and say I do not like the fact that we called a sweep play with Jamal Lewis and to the side of Javon Curse.
If David Cutcliffe is offensive coordinator, y'all are winning that game.
That still drives me insane. I watched that game this week too. Coming up to Florida week, I go back and I watch all those games over. And
I forgot the toss sweep, Fred.
There's one game that makes me happy every time I have to watch the 98 game last because the rest of them, I'm just so frustrated after watching them because we made key mistakes. And that one, it didn't come down to just that one play. There's a few other things that happened. We had a guy Alex Brown had a heck of a game. He had 4 sacks in that game.
5.
And we didn't do anything to help out our tackle, Josh Tucker. We should have chipped him with a running back or something. And we didn't do those things. And, you look back at it now, hindsight's 2020. We gave this guy, he became a 2nd or 3rd round draft pick off of that. May have been a 1st round draft pick. I can't remember. But Alex Brown had the game of his life in that game. And we didn't do anything to help our tackle out in that game to suppress him.
Hey, can I ask you this about that Alex Brown game? There was talk that T would shake his hands. Do you remember that right before the snap? And that was what Alex was reading. Even
if it was what he was reading, we still should have. You got to do something to help out the tackle. Put a tight end on that side, or chip him with a running back, or whatever it may be, to get him off his rocker. To kind of just make sure he knows it's coming. It also makes him not come as hard as well because he's looking to see if that running back's going to come to chip him. There's not one defensive end that I know likes for a running back to come and chip him while he's on a block with a tackle. They hate that. So those things could have been some things we could have done to stop him from progressing or having the type of game he had. So it didn't come down to just that one play, but that's the play you remember because it's the last play we had on offense. And we got Jamal Lewis in the backfield. I'd much rather watch Jamal Lewis go straight up the middle of the football field than to the outside where the defense is as fast as that.
Yep. Amen. Great stuff, Fred, as always. We appreciate it. Enjoy the game. We will talk to you soon. Again, brought to you in part by Tennessee Cider Company. Go to tncidercompany.com. Use the promo code HAT. Get some free swag. You're looking dapper with your orange. You're kind of accepting the smoky gray a little bit.
I like the smoky gray.
Yeah. Well, the kids like it. That's really what matters, right?
And man, if it gets us recruits and we play hard with it, I'm accepting of it. I like it.
Fred likes it because
And
Butch Jones
people
started
don't
it.
realize that we wanted to play some of those. We wanted to play in different uniforms as well. We wanted to play in the all orange and those type of things. We would have loved to play in some of the things these guys are playing in. I mean, it gives you more access. It doesn't take away from the tradition. The tradition is the tradition. I mean, it is. We're always going to wear orange and white. However, every now and then it's okay to have an alternate uniform. It just looks good.
Great stuff.
Yeah, except when y'all wore all orange, y'all almost lost, Fred. I remember that game.
You know what? I never got a chance to wear all orange. I had the flu that game. That was against Memphis. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I remember that game. And I remember they were slightly see-through on some of the offensive linemen, like a little uncomfortable from behind.